what can we expect? Is Madison coming back?
I'm going to say, well, actually, I think we both have some new info because I think we both asked Gimple about this week as well. And honestly, I have never felt more, I'm just going to preface this with, I asked the fans what they wanted me to ask the showrunners for Fear before I, interviewed them. And the biggest thing was obviously Madison. And I was like, guys, like, okay, I don't think that I'm going to get any response out of them on this, but I'll try. And they surprised me because the reaction, they both stopped for a moment, and then Andrew was just like, actually, we talk about this. Like, this is a thing that we're having, like, we have discussions about. And I was like,
well, yeah, you have to save the fucking show.
And I was like, wait, what? And so then I pressed back, and Ian was like, well, we never saw a body. And so I went to, wait, so there's more.
She's under the dumpster.
Yeah, I know. She's under a dumpster. So Gimple, I asked him about this week, and this is what he said. And I'm very curious as to what you guys think about this. So Gimple said, I believe that not only within Fear, but just within the greater Walking Dead universe, there's absolutely a chance that we could see Madison. There's a narrative possibilities that we're exploring. And then certainly, we got to work it out with everybody involved. And Kim Dickens is a very, very busy person, but I think it's entirely possible. So at this point,
wow,
I feel like there is a real possibility we see Madison again, either on Fear or Tales of the Walking Dead, because Gimple did, if you guys were in the New York Comic Con like chat, someone asked Gimple about this and he hinted about Tales. And so, I mean, at the least, I think that we're going to get some sort of closure. Otherwise, why would they say all this? Otherwise, like, you draw the ire and the wrath of so many fans by throwing them this bone with expectations. And I'll say this honestly, I got the sense from my conversation with Gimple that, there were other topics that we discussed where he wanted to make sure expectations weren't set too high. And one of those things, and we can come back to this later, was that, like, he definitively told me that Rick is not at the CRM facility that we've been teased on World Beyond, because he said he didn't want people expecting that and then, I guess, to get let down. So with all of that in mind, I'm really curious as to what your guys' thoughts are on all of this, and Brandon, as to what Gimple had to say to you about Madison.
Yeah, he said something very similar to me. I don't have the quote in front of me, but it was like basically the same thing as what he said to you. And when I asked Ian and Andrew, the showrunners on Fear, are we going to see Madison? They said, and when I asked that, I asked two questions at once, and I said, is like there a chance that she's the person who saved Morgan? Mm-hmm. So what they said to me was like, well, we're always exploring things, and they were very open about it more than ever before. They're actually just kind of more fun to talk to this time than ever before, and I think that's a result of the confidence and the good reception of the show now. But they were really nice and friendly, and what they said was that if you look at the note Morgan got, it said like he has more work to do, and like it's somebody that Morgan's never met before, and when we find out who saved Morgan, it's going to make a lot more sense. Like, it's going to put a whole new perspective on that. So my interpretation of that is like, well, she recognized that Morgan is looking after Alicia. He has more work to do. She needs him to survive. But what I think, the way I interpret it myself, given like I've been working with like the people who make this, I've been covering the show for more than half of a decade now, and I've watched how they word things and how things turn out and all these things over the years. So given my cumulative experience, what they're really saying, and I could be wrong, is that they want Kim back and they don't have her yet. I think that they've recognized that fans want Kim back, and they've opened the door for a story involving Madison, and they see that they fucked up in how they treated Kim, and that we responded to it that way, and that they never showed her dead, so there's an opportunity to resurrect her. And I think Kim probably isn't immediately on board, and that makes sense for a lot of reasons. If I'm Kim Dickens, which I'm certainly not. I'm not a patient, very super forgiving person. I don't know if Kim Dickens is or isn't, but if that was me and I got treated that way, like just getting it was my show, and then all of a sudden I'm not on it at all, and it catches me by surprise, and then they call me back 2 years later when they see an error in their ways. I'm not saying I would never go back, but it would take some convincing. Because it's just like, y'all did me wrong once. now you're crawling back, and should I do it or should I not? I don't know, because also the show kind of lost some ratings. It's not like the Walking Dead franchise isn't as big as it was, and Kim is not she's not desperate for work by any means. So I think it's like I think the one thing that could appeal to her, aside from like a nice consistent paycheck that appeals to all actors, is the fact that she has a sense of pride over Madison. I think she really she might want to finish that story, and the fans would be the ones who have to convince her to go back more than anybody else could. But I genuinely think they probably want her back, and they just haven't made it happen yet. And you know what? They could just be being coy. Maybe they already filmed something with her, and we don't know. And there's just like Kirsten said, maybe they're just setting a proper expectation where they want to preserve some spoilers and some surprises, which would be cool too. But that's what I think. It goes back to the movies too. They announced a trilogy, and it's just like, well, is it still a trilogy? And so they're just kind of, I think they're learning as they go, and they don't want to know. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But that's my interpretation of all that.